Chapter 6. The Birth of the Class Clown. After the uneventful summer of '07, we was fast approaching 2008. The world was still reeling at Britney Spears' interesting choice of haircut. Kaiser Chiefs decided to make a hit that dominated the charts by forming the lyrics of Ruby. Tony Blair decided to step down as Prime Minister. And Donald Trump decided to take up wrestling with a certain Vince McMahon years before he took up presidency. But while people decided to reflect on Phil Collins' On in the Air Tonight thanks to a certain Cadbury's advert, and as I started my 4th year in high school, I noticed my popularity, or maybe even simply, my reputation was on the rise. People that I hardly spoke to would automatically know me by my name. Certain members of a certain social circle that once fashioned themselves as the bench crew would acknowledge my presence. It should be mentioned that the bench crew were quite possibly the most dominant social circle in our entire year. On one occasion, a member of this particular social circle invited me quite assertively to sit with them on a particular dinner break. But no matter this bizarre resurgence of popularity, I knew where my loyalties truly lied, on the people who gave me any time in the first place. But where did this rising popularity come from, you may ask? In truth, over the years I have made a few speculations myself. Maybe people finally got used to my outspoken personality. But I think the most likely explanation is, as I finally got more and more confident, I developed a very witty and quirky personality. I suppose this newfound sense of humour came with it. The truth is, I got to the point where I loved making people laugh, to the point of continuously getting myself in trouble, especially in class. I suppose I just like making people happy, which led to then, I suppose, earning myself the title of the class clown. I also fancied myself as a comedic stuntman, from disrupting classes with my friends by singing "She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain" to piss off certain teachers. Yeah, that shit actually happened, by the way. Or allowing Danny to use my right hand to hold his rugby ball moments before he booted it. I honestly didn't care as long as people were paying attention towards me. That's all that mattered. And the more heads that turned, the better. However, this new stunt double comedic persona was not without a price. People around me grew more and more concerned when they realised how much danger I would occasionally be willing to put myself in just to get potentially noticed. Even Will and Alex pulled me aside and asked why I was doing what I was doing. From jumping from a slanted roof at Blackburn Cathedral to shoving ferrets down my shirt to hitting my head with a hammer. You could also be forgiven for thinking that I had a self-destructive nature. The truth is, I simply was attention-seeking. But maybe this is the autism coming into play here. But looking back, I remember being genuinely confused why people got concerned. It's only me, I would say to myself. But as the years went by, it's only now I realised the understandable cause for concern. But then I was overwhelmed with confusion due to the complexities of social interaction. On one particular day, we did our usual routine of buying crates of that infamous drink called Relentless. But I had an idea. If one can makes you energetic and giddy for a couple of hours, just think what 10 could potentially do. I proposed this idea to my friends. Some thought it was a good idea, others bad. But the part that got to me, that I remember at least so vividly, was hardly anyone would believe I would be able to consume 10 in such a small space of time. But what they probably only meant through physical capability, I perceived as they felt I lacked the courage to be so bold. Later that day seemingly proved uneventful. Me, Alex and Josh were sat in the front table in maths, pretending to do some work, when in reality we was just engaging in conversation. Our maths teacher, Armishaw, was such a lenient teacher, but looking back as a class, we took huge advantages towards his leniency. Suddenly, Sloan opened the door. "Can I speak to Alex, please?" I knew if Alex was in trouble, I was sure to follow. Shit, I spoke to Josh. He turned his head. I've got a fucking crate of this stuff here. Josh looked back in both amusement and confusion. What are you going to do? He replied. Then I showed him just how many I had. Whoa, shit, you're knackered, Josh muttered. And then I realised the proposal I made, it's about time I made good on my promises. Not just yet. Suddenly I found myself stood in front of the entire class. The entire class all looked at me with strange hang on, bear with me, sorry. Start that again. The entire class all looked at me with strange curiosity and confusion. Abby, Ray and Sadie all looked at me with wondrous amusement, while Fallon, Josh and our maths teacher, Armishaw, all looked the same with confusion, but with the slightest hint of terror, as they realised what I planned to do. Within seconds I opened the first can and consumed it in front of everybody. The fuck are you doing, Irvine? Josh asked as he was sat down tugging at my blazer. Hiding the evidence, I replied, as I perceived myself as being clever. Within a few seconds I consumed the second, and then the third, and then the fourth. Within half a minute I had consumed at least half a dozen cans. The yellow liquid spilled onto my shirt, which resulted in smelling as sugary as a beehive. Armishaw was took so back and surprised at how much I consumed in such a short space of time. Looking back, I like to think he secretly was hoping I was successful in achieving such a feat. Moments after, a hand appeared on my back. Who else would it be but Sloane? A sigh appeared as he looked at my shirt. Come with me, he told me in such a calm manner. In the office, me and Alex waited what seemed to be hours, but in all honesty, all Sloane did was confiscate our drinks, and again we expected to receive a harsher punishment. But we just ended up getting away with it from our perspectives, to both our joy and surprise. The rest of the day I had a yellow-stained shirt, but I didn't care. Back then, I cared little for my appearance. I was too busy filling my head with much more interesting shit. Like, what's the next episode of Stargate or Doctor Who gonna be like this week? But as me and Alex were reunited with Danny's crew, we was also looking forward to our next lesson, as we knew we had double English with a certain Mr. Grime. Hope you enjoyed this chapter, and as always, Dancing Bear out.